Hello, welcome to this month's free workshop for instructional coaches. Today, we are focusing on customer satisfaction in instructional coaching. This is how we can build trust and value by considering our teacher feedback as a valuable asset in our coaching systems. I am Linda Ryan. I'm the owner of Linda Ryan Consulting. We are a company that supports schools and districts with improved literacy and instructional coaching systems. And our goal is to honor the people that work in them when we do that work alongside you. If we ever have the opportunity to meet in person, love a cup of coffee. I'm always happy to grab a cup of coffee with you. But please don't serve me pickles is my beg of you. Let's get started. So today's workshop theme focuses on a specific indicator that is in the coaching system assessment, which is free to download. And what it asks, the entire assessment asks you to consider your whole coaching system in 4 categories: the people, the processes, the products, and the culture. And so today's indicator connection is teachers provide feedback on the coaching system. And this is in the product category. What are the products of our coaching system? Well, one of the products is the impact on teachers, right? And so they are an important person that receives what instructional coaching can provide. And so it's essential that we consider the feedback that they have for us on how effective we're doing it. So if you are watching this with a group of people or with other coaches, pause the video and ask, when you hear teachers as customers, what comes to mind? You might think about a business and you might think about the customer is always right. We know that's not necessarily the case in an instructional coaching system and in our schools, right? And yet, it's really important that we start to think about what is the customer experience, right? If we think about teachers as the customers, as the recipients of what instructional coaching is doing, it might reframe the way that we approach instructional coaching. So I encourage you to pause the video, but we're going to keep rolling here and keep thinking about this. So why does this matter? Here's the thing. Coaches manage the teacher expectations of the coaching system, right? So the coaches that are in this coaching system are the ones that are kind of managing the teacher's experience, but the coaches might also not be involved in all of the decision-making about the way the coaching system happens, right? Coaches might be assigned to work with teachers, and not really have a say in where the assignments are or how they come about, when they meet, and they might not even have control over what the focus is, depending on the way that coaching happens, right? So the coaches are the ones managing teachers' expectations of the coaching system, whether they like it or not. The teachers that we are serving are experiencing initiative overload. And they're doing so in very high expectations. We live in a society that expects teachers to be perfect every day, all the time, right? Because we are taking care of our precious children, right? So of course, when we are experiencing change, put in a position of learner while also being expected to be an expert, there's a juxtaposition there. And that places a lot of overload on teachers. The other reason that this matters is that instructional coaching, and this isn't listed here, but it's a financial decision that a district or school or system makes. You are financially deciding to create a position or pay somebody to do this work, right? And oftentimes it can be used as a strategy to counteract burnout. Coaching should help teachers focus their work, feel confident in what they do, and therefore begin to feel better about showing up to work rather than adding coaching as one more thing. And therefore, instructional coaching is a strategy for teacher retention. We find ourselves in the midst of a crisis of the number of teachers that are entering this profession, especially with the number of teachers that are exiting the profession. And so when we think about the potential of instructional coaching to have an impact on both the student outcomes that we seek, but also the teacher retention goals that we have as a system, instructional coaching can make a difference. But only if we start to think about coaching as a customer experience as well. So, in this idea, we are thinking about teachers as the customers, coaches are the service providers, and the coaching system that both teachers and coaches find themselves in impacts the customer experience design. And so, if you are not the person who is the coach, but you have decision-making power within the coaching system, you also play a role in the customer experience of coaching. So, what I want us to think through today is what Halt and Morganson identified as 10 ways to boost customer satisfaction. And those are listed here, right? It's a strategic asset. We want to understand what customers expect of us, which means we need to ask them. The quality of our performance matters. Friends, if you are showing up to coaching and you are not preparing for your sessions, you are not performing with the highest level of quality, which also means if you do not have prep time in your schedule, you need to ask for it. Value is more or less about price. We'll get into that in just a second. Satisfaction is never guaranteed. Okay, so we have to prepare ourselves for some negative reviews and then use that as information, not the judgment that we perceive it as, which means we need to appreciate complaining customers. We need some of those negative reviews in order to inform what we do differently. Sticking around and being loyal, right? We want to stick with our customers. We want to take what they have in mind. We want to use the positive testimonials that we have to inform where we go next and what that means in terms of this is working. Which means we need satisfied customers to drive the financials, right? We need satisfied customers in order to, number one, keep coaches in a job and prove that the financial investment is worth it. We also need to ensure that we are protecting our financial investment with teachers working with coaches, right? That's the whole reason that they were hired. This also we want to think about like what is the disconnect between our coaching system or our leadership system and our customers or teachers, right? And then we want to start thinking about the scientific metrics. So what I want us to think through, let me get myself sharing the correct thing here. Okay, so here we have 10 ways to boost customer satisfaction. And what I want us to think about is how this applies to our coaching systems. Okay, here we see each of these customer satisfaction indicators, but they're also listed next to what this means within a coaching system. So we're going to think through this, right? When we think about customer satisfaction as being a strategic asset that we can lean on, it means that teachers in our coaching systems can provide feedback, and that is really a gift for us to optimize. It also means we have to ask for teacher feedback, right? So this can happen formally where we do surveys, we send out, anonymous, give the opportunity for anonymous feedback, which is important. But this can also be informal check-ins and check-outs during coaching sessions. An easy one that I use when I work with people is like, did you get what you needed today? Is there something else I can be thinking about? before our next session that might support you. Doing some informal checkouts can also boost our teacher satisfaction in a coaching system. If we are collecting teacher feedback, it gives us an opportunity to understand what is it that teachers expect of the coaching role. If they are satisfied, then it means that we are probably meeting their expectations. But if they are dissatisfied, then something is out of sync. And we also want to consider, do teachers clearly understand the coaching role, right? Are coaches delivering on that coaching role? This is important for us figuring out, how do we make sure that there is alignment instead of misalignment? Because when we see that we are not meeting expectations, it means that something is out of alignment and we have to explore what it is. Again, quality performance, right? Teacher feedback can be a really important key element to understanding our coach's effectiveness, right? That's not to say that a teacher has to be satisfied in order for a coach to be effective, but we also know that the research explains how important coaching relationships are. It's why so many people focus on building relationships when they are kicking off coaching. And so we want to ensure that teachers continue to keep showing up to coaching conversations so that we can be delivering coaching and improving instruction in classrooms. Okay, so when we think about the value, right, we have to know that coaches are maximizing their time with teachers. Time is the hottest commodity in education. And if we are asking teachers to share their time with coaches, all for the goal of improvement, then we have to ensure that that time is valuable and that teachers see the return on their investment. Which means that we have to look beyond just student outcomes and start to see, are we seeing improved instruction in classrooms paired with those student outcomes? And how are we ensuring that the value of investing in coaching, both from a teacher's time as well as our financial investment in coaching, how are we making sure that we're getting that return on investment? Okay, it's also important to remember satisfaction is not guaranteed, right? And so some of the negative feedback that we get or critical feedback that we get about coaching might mean that something is happening in the system beyond the coaching, the one-on-one coaching that we're offering. And so just use that information to inform, is it a systematic thing that we need to take a look at and consider, or is this a one-on-one conversation that we need to think about having with a particular coach? Which means it's important that we appreciate a complaining customer, right? Like, thank you so much for that feedback. It's really important that you share that with me so that we can consider, where can we make improvements, or explain why that expectation can't be met, right? That person may have a point and we need to pay attention to it and at least address it. Um, so encouraging this kind of feedback and then acting on it can increase teachers' investment in coaching, right? We want to stay loyal to the goals that we have for coaching. We want to make sure that teachers see the ROI on why they are sharing their time. And then we also want to appreciate the people who are investing in that, right? So if you find yourself in an opt-in coaching system, not always my number one recommendation, but many people find themselves in that, right? Then the first followers are going to be some of the most important people, and we need to make sure that we show our thanks to them and share our gratitude, inviting them to share their experience and help us create more loyalty. When we think about the financials of a coaching system, this is our product of success, right? So when we think about the correlation between teacher feedback and teacher improvement, teacher efficacy, all of that impacts student outcomes. right? And so we know that we're counting on coaching to have an impact on student outcomes. And the question is, if a teacher is dissatisfied with coaching, will we see improvement in student outcomes? Most likely not. And so therefore, it's important that we use all of this teacher feedback loop and funnel to help us understand what can we do to have a better impact on student outcomes in terms of teacher support. There's also the idea, right? We already mentioned the idea of misalignment. And so this helps us understand, like, where are we miscommunicating expectations around coaching and what we want from coaching in terms of what needs to happen. Teachers are the people, again, who are the recipients of what coaching can offer. And if we don't center their experience, it's going to be very easy for coaching to be done to them instead of done with them, which we know is much more powerful. And then thinking about that, going back to that loyalty piece, right? We want coaching to be the topic of the teacher's lounge where someone says, wow, like I just had the most amazing coaching session. Y'all really like, what are yours like, right? Like we want teachers to be talking positively about that. And we have to make sure that we are using teachers' experiences in coaching to increase our impact, right? We want those positive testimonials to support what is happening with our coaching system. So there is something that we can think through. This is the teacher's customer journey, right? If we think about our teachers as a customer, customers go through a coaching, like a journey, right? When they come to us. So if we think about what is their awareness, that's the first step, right? Our teachers become aware that coaching is available and or they're assigned, right? And then we want to think about like, what is their initial engagement and onboarding to this experience? Are we onboarding teachers? If coaching is new, how are we helping them understand the expectations that they can have with coaching before they jump into the active coaching experience? And if you're in a leadership position, how are you supporting that process rather than just making your coaches be in charge of it? And then after the active coaching experience, we want to make sure that we are engaging teachers in that reflection and value assessment, because then they will decide, are they staying loyal to this experience? Are they going to be an advocate for this experience? Or are they completely disengaging from coaching? And what does that mean for our effectiveness of our coaching system? Which means using that information helps us understand what do we need to do with our coaching system. Now, I already shared that there's a coaching system assessment that I developed, and this can help you think through that. So let me get back to that page. If you remember, teacher feedback is going to be a key indicator for you in terms of what your coaching system is providing. So you can download this assessment and you can think through, okay, what are these indicators telling us is going well? Where are our opportunities to grow our coaching system? And have we even asked teachers for feedback on the coaching system? Friends, if you haven't, that's step one after watching this video today. This is also a service that I provide where I'm able to conduct the coaching system audit, take your team through it, meet with your coaches, as well as interview some teachers or conduct some focus groups so that we can have a clear understanding of where your coaching system is before we develop a strategic plan of what are we going to do to support coaching. And support, and make sure that your coaches are getting support and improving their practices as well. I also expanded this work in a coaching system assessment guide, which is an ebook that you can purchase through my website on lindaryanconsulting.com. The table that you saw in the handout is from the ebook, so you already have a freebie from that. And here you can see a preview of how that expands and how we go a little bit deeper in that. If we are not connected, I invite you to reach out on social media or send me an email if you have questions. I always welcome that. And if you would like the handout, please send me an email or grab the link in the comments.